All right. So there are two parts I can describe my thoughts about it. Part number one is the Greater Israel concept presented by no one less than the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu. That is one part. And second part is what role the OIC could play and the pressure on the Trump administration. So first thing first, basically Netanyahu has not something new and not said something new. This is the concept which was developed back in 1897 once the foundation of Zionism was were laid at that time in Switzerland. And from that time onward, there was the work going on, and the first result they got for their hard work of the Zionist lobby and Zionism was 1948, once Israel was created and once first Nakba had taken place, where they had destroyed about 554 cities and villages, and more than about 800,000 people were displaced and either killed or displaced. So that was the first, and then it started on 67, 73, and so on and so forth. So they've been always capturing extra territory of Palestine. And even this time, Gaza, what they are doing now is to completely capture or completely occupied by force that territory which was governed independently by Hamas and through a legitimate means of their election. So the second part, what can be done once we have these many casualties of about 62,000 innocent civilian, most of them the children, the women. And now the worst part is, as UN says, yesterday the spokesperson of UN has said that the famine as a weapon of war that's being used, and even yesterday more than 280 people died of the hunger. One more point on it, the Israel, they drove out all the UN distribution point, all the UN warehouses of the food has now empty because they have had the blockade. So UN cannot really. The person who is in charge of OCHA, of the United Nations. He has been my colleague in United Nations while once I was serving in United Nations. And I have had the interaction, the kind of dismal picture he's really painting about Gaza. It's beyond any comprehension. So famine as a weapon of war, hunger as a weapon of war, distribution points handled by the Israeli contractors and the US contractors, that has become a killing zone by itself, profiling through the iCloud and then killing people around while they go and collect the food. So that situation, I think the humanity has never seen about it. Now, the second part, what the other countries can do, most importantly, OIC, I think they have really already held about 9 different meetings of the Foreign Ministers' Council as well as the head of states. Extraordinary session. There are about 2 head of state extraordinary session, and rest of it are the executive committee and the foreign minister session. And every time there have been condemnation. Pakistan has been having a very forceful voice. And even this time, it's Pakistan who has the foreign minister of Pakistan, the deputy prime minister, who has condemned it and labeled it as a threat to the entire Arab security and the state sovereignty and the territorial and regional integrity and the peace, international peace. And this we have labeled, our foreign minister has labeled as they want to do the annexation, and they have the rogue mindset. So these kind of remarks we have given in the Foreign Ministers' Council meeting of the OIC, 21st meeting of the Council, and the humanitarian catastrophe. I've already described that. And the Foreign Minister has also described about the people who have been killed. He has described about the famine and the systematic targeting of the civilian people. He has described the way the infrastructure has been. So all what we have been discussing, and he has demanded, our Foreign Minister has demanded from the platform of OIC that revival of two-state solution based on 1967 UN resolution. So all that within the framework of international law, our Pakistan's standpoint in the OIC. Now, what impact can it have, right? And he has also mentioned that let's prevent another Nakba. I have my own point on it, that the Nakba has already started. This intrusion of the Israeli forces has started happening. Infrastructure is already more than 75-80% destroyed. So what other Nakba we are now expecting? It's already started. Diplomatic coordination, which we are doing, Pakistan is doing. They are in communication with other countries, and this is what the foreign minister has also said. What are the root causes? He has mentioned about it, and the root causes are the same as why Kashmiris are struggling. The same root cause, that there's occupation, illegal occupation of Palestinian territory. And I would remind your viewer that illegal occupation of any territory, the people, inhabitants of that territory, they have the right under United Nations Security, the General Assembly Resolution 2649. They have the right to really struggle and really push back them. He has also mentioned about the fact that Pakistan has sent 2,027 tons of the aid. But what's the use of that aid once it cannot reach to the needy people because there's a blockade? Even United Nations is not able to really get its aid through to the needy people. So that's where we stand. And then also, if I may mention and refresh the memories of your viewer, that the death toll, which I've just mentioned, over 62,000, 365 square kilometer only Gaza, right? And in that smaller area, this was first a concentration camp. Now it has become a killing zone, and where Israel is just killing every day. 438 workers have been killed so far. 300 UN workers have been killed. The journalists, now they've also crossed almost about 200 journalists have been killed there. So what else the world can witness about it? So what are the actions? Last month, if we recall, there was a Security Council meeting, and in that, all the 14 members, less one, which is United States, they approved they passed the resolution, and the resolution had asked only to do the ceasefire and have the humanitarian assistance for the people entrapped there. But even that was vetoed. So what do we expect? Now, there are only one mechanism under the international law. That's one. And second, of course, the boycott and the unilateral sanction or the multilateral sanction of OIC can be imposed on Israel, like, closing its airspace, swearing the diplomatic relations, means throwing out their ambassadors from these countries. So, and then boycotting their products. So these are the things they can do it from within the norms of the international law, because OIC is basically been formed under Chapter 8 of the United Nations Charter. So it would be there. But I don't think OIC would take that initiative, because there's so much of influence on so many rulers that it would become almost next to impossible that could happen. So what is going to happen? Probably this slaughter would go on, and because of the factors which I have just mentioned, unless the Security Council resolution is passed under the Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter, where the Israel could be compelled to stop through the force, and which is not going to happen. And if no other country vetoes it, then in that case, but that's a dream. I wish that kind of action is taken. The world is really on the road. They are the people, you can see floods of people in the West, in the East, and everywhere. But it doesn't really make much difference to Israel. That is just a moral pressure, and Israel is devoid of taking any moral pressure. Yes. There is a reason for it, because there is a book, very famous book, written by John Meir Shaimer. He is the political scientist, renowned in the world, professor in Chicago University, and he is an authority. He has proved in his book, it's a very voluminous book, he has proved that Israeli lobby is controlling the administration. They have the full influence on Congress and all the policies, whether it's in harmony with the national interest of the United States or not, unless it's in national interest of the Israel, nothing can happen. All right. So from that standpoint, yes, you are right. Because of that influence, you are right. That support all over the world, the peace can take place. But unless Israel, the way they are going for the greater Israel, and I've been saying it so many channels, as Sagdar also in a diplomatic words, he has said, I should also be very diplomatic, but since I don't have those shackles of the rules and regulations on me, except that I'll have to bear in mind the overall interest of the country, that yes, we and Israel and Sagdar had said that it tantamounts to the compromising the security of the Arab nation. Subsequently, it's one by one and turn by turn as it is happening, like Lebanon, like Syria, like Iraq, like Libya, and so many other countries. So the Islamic world, unless they gather their strength together and take a collective decision within the international norms, I think if they don't do that, then my assessment, and that this such kind of a program, it goes a long way. And subsequently, people would refer you on this program. That if we don't do it now, then there would be a bottoms up pressure, and that would be detrimental to the peace and tranquility of the world and the region by itself. That is the Fidain. That's the terrorism. That's the uprising. That's the OIC countries. They would find quite a difficult situation from their own population. So that's a bottom-up pressure, and of course, top-down pressure. Pakistan has already asserted through its deputy prime minister and the foreign minister in the OIC platform. So this is what maximum could be done from Pakistan. Pakistan, even if they do unilateral sanction, it doesn't make any difference. Pakistan doesn't have any diplomatic relation. Pakistan doesn't have any import, export, any trade with Israel. So that doesn't make any difference. The countries who have that trade, if they agree and do within the norms of the international law, then that could have some difference, because otherwise we should not expect that the support of the United States would be drawn. And the indication is that all the warships are around Gaza, Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, all the deployments are around that. And if there is any problem with the Israeli security, the US is there to really come in. But otherwise, Ukraine war, well, I don't know when does it stop, but that can, as a matter of fact, and all other places the peace can be brought. But Gaza, unless they achieve their goal, they'll keep trying, provided the OIC countries and the other pressure which is coming from the Western countries like Australia, like France, like Germany, people at large, they are on the roads, and they are really making a lot of protest about it. But that, as I said, would not make any moral difference. But then if the boycotts starts, that would really pinch Israel, and they might as well consider to really stop it for now. So no, regardless of that, what Pakistan otherwise can do, even if we did not have that much of enhanced trajectory of our relationship with the United States, even if, for example, we did not have that, what else could have we done? We are the member of the international community. We abide by the international law. Pakistan has always been abiding international law. We are unlike Israel, that they really do not have any respect for international law. But we do respect, and most of the countries, they do respect international law. So we can only condemn from here. As I said, with that, we don't have any trade with Israel. So boycotting Israel product would be only on paper. And then having no diplomatic relation, it would obviously be absolutely, I think, unnecessary, because we don't have any diplomatic relation. What kind of a boycott? So at the most, what we can do, which Sagdar has done it already, to really raise the voice to the top of our tongue. And this is what we have done from the platform. In fact, the most heavy voice which you will hear is that of Pakistan, both in the United Nations Security Council, which our permanent representative, Ambassador Iftikhar, is raising, and the OIC platform, where whenever we get like this 21st extraordinary session of the Foreign Ministers Council, which is called under Article 9 of the OIC Charter. So we have raised our voice. I think these are the very strong words, and that's what we can do. The Arab world, the Arab countries who have the relations, who have the trade, and who buy tons of material from Israeli material, yes, they can assert pressure and they can also impose. Israeli aircraft do not cross the airspace of Pakistan. Otherwise, Pakistan could really impose restriction on it. And they cross the airspace of most of the Arab countries, and more than 90 tons of the weapons and explosive has been transported to Israel, which has been used against the innocent civilians of Gaza. So that would continue if that is not done.